Mark Pillsbury here from Cruising World Magazine. Today we're going to talk about the Beneteau Oceanis Yacht 54 with Eric Levine from, he's the sales manager for Beneteau. He's at his office in Annapolis, and I'm here at home in Boston, and the mysteries of Zoom, we'll get a little preview of the new boat that's just landed here in the U.S. I think it's just, hasn't even been commissioned yet, has it?
That's right. Just a couple of weeks ago, landed in Baltimore from France. These boats are built in Vendée, and the guys at AYS, Annapolis Yacht Sales, are busy commissioning it. It should be just a couple more days, and we'll have it in the water on Monday, hopefully, and then we can all go sailing on it.
Cool. Yeah. That's two new boats for Beneteau this year in the U.S., right?
Yep. So it's a very important year, and it's a remarkable feat actually to come up with two important boats. These size ranges are very important for the industry as a whole. 40 feet, and then luxury cruisers over 50 feet. We're very proud to launch these two new boats right in time for the fall season.
Cool. So every boat's built for a purpose. Let's start with the design brief for the 54. What did the builder have in mind when he commissioned the boat?
So you can think of the Oceanis Yacht 54 as a luxury cruiser with a performance hull. That being said, it's a very versatile boat. And one of the things that's great about my job is I see different people looking at the same boat for different purposes. So some people will look at a boat like that and say, this is the ultimate sunset cruiser. And some people look at this boat and say, okay, this is my ticket to cross the Pacific to Sydney Harbor. And that's the wonderful thing about a boat like that, is that you can pretty much do whatever you want with it. And you can pretty much outfit it almost any which way you want.
So the typical customer looking at a boat like this, what would they be? What do you figure they would want to be doing with it?
People have blue water ambitions with a boat like this, at least to start. And it all depends, of course, where they buy the boat and what they want to do with it. Beneteau is a big company. We sell boats all around the world. So your Scandinavian buyer will have different ideas than your Australian buyer or your North American buyer. But that's the beauty of it. It's very versatile, and there's so many different options. The boats are endlessly semi-customizable, so you can really build it just the way you want it for just the right purpose.
That's a little bit different from the old days when it was straight production boats. That the fact that you can customize them a bit, and we'll get into some of the options a little bit later.
Yeah.
So does this boat replace any other boat in the Beneteau lineup, or is it a?
So this boat complements the Oceanis Yacht range. The other boat in that range is the Oceanis Yacht 62, which has been a tremendously successful boat for us. We built over 60 hulls of those. The Oceanis 55.1 is now at the end of its career, long and illustrious career, if I may add. And so the Oceanis Yacht 54 will proudly and happily take its place.
You mentioned the different ranges, the Oceanis range. So just before we get into the boat itself, explain a little bit about the difference between the first range, the Oceanis range, and the Oceanis Yacht range.
Sure. So think of Oceanis as the backbone of Beneteau sailing. And you can think of the Oceanis range as cruising boats with a very heavy emphasis on performance. The first range is I want to say the opposite. These are performance boats that are also suitable for cruising. So on one hand, you have the Oceanis, on the other hand, you have the first. And when you get north of the 50-foot mark, that's where you get into the yacht range. On the first side, you have the first Yacht 53, which we launched last year in Annapolis. And then on the Oceanis side, you have the brand new Oceanis Yacht 54 and the 62 that I just mentioned. So
let's start at the transom and kind of walk us through the exterior of the 54, if you would.
Sure. So it starts with this amazing swim platform, which is very, very big. The guys at Beneteau like to call it the terrace on the sea. One of the wonderful things about it is that it adds a lot of usable space when you're at anchor to the cockpit, but it also provides ideal access to the longitudinal dinghy garage, which is a very, very important feature for larger cruising boats, because we want our customers, when they're going places, to have an easy way of getting, to and from land when they're at anchor.
How big of an inflatable can you put in there?
Practically speaking, you're talking about 8 feet 2 inches inflated. So if you deflate the boat, you might be able to get a little bit bigger one in there.
And is that a hard bottom inflatable or a soft bottom?
You can put both.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's tall enough, yeah. You'd have to look at the actual dinghy that you want to purchase to make sure it fits, but it can accommodate a fairly large dinghy.
Cool.
Once you move up from the swim platform, you get to the cockpit. The cockpit's really interesting because what they've done is they've reinvented the center cockpit feature, which, as you know, has been very popular on cruising boats for a long time. As a matter of fact, it still is a pretty popular feature on some production boats. The advantages of the center cockpit are obvious, but the inconvenience of the center cockpit is that typically you have to move up levels. So you have to climb into the center cockpit and you have to climb down. What Beneteau has done here is that they've made a center cockpit with a completely flush area. So there's no going up, there's no going down, which is both practical and also safe. So as you're moving forward to the companionway, you'll feel there's just a free-flowing movement, completely unimpeded. First, you'll pass the helm stations, which are part of the action in the cockpit, but also kind of recessed so that the person sailing the boat is out of the way of the people that are lounging. As you move forward to the companionway, you pass these two wonderful lounging areas with these retractable tables. The tables go up and down, and that can increase the area of the sun pad. And then just further above the companionway, you have an additional two really nice sun pads for guests to hang out and relax. I was on the boat a couple of days ago for the first time, and I was really, really impressed by the way it's laid out. The thing to remember also with a cockpit like this is that there's great access to just about everything, whether you're sailing or you're coming into the dock and you need to get away and grab a line. Everything is within hand's reach. So it's very, very well executed, and I'm really happy to see that.
One of the things, looking at pictures of the boat online, the tables have some built-in handholds so that you really have something to hang on to if you're bouncing around. I'm a big fan of handholds. So
yeah, and you'll see below actually there special attention has been made to make sure there are places to hold on everywhere. The feeling of safety actually continues as you move from the cockpit to the foredeck. The side rails are very, very high up, which provides an excellent feeling of safety as you're moving to the foredeck. And the foredeck is actually my favorite part of the boat. It's this huge, fully flush area with this wonderful lounge pad right just forward of the mast. You really feel like you're on a super yacht. And it's interesting, I say that, but the designer, Argento, he has a past with Wally, the super yacht builder. And thing that's immediately obvious as you come onto the boat and then you go down into the boat. There really is a super yacht flair to it, both in the layout below, the choice of colors, and then obviously this beautiful flush deck. On the hull we have in Annapolis, it's a teak deck too, which makes it even nicer.
Nice, yeah. The hull was designed by Robert
Viscontini.
And the interior was by Lorenzo Argento.
Right.
I think they were brought in last year to do the first Yacht 53. They're kind of new collaborators for Group Beneteau.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about them.
So these are two super interesting guys. Viscontini has a long history with designing America Cup boats. Most recently, he designed a Volvo Open 70. So this is a man who's very, very rooted in performance sailing. Argento, as I said, has a past with Wally. He's also one of the founders of Yachts, which is a day sailing sailboat builder out of Italy. Beneteau had a very specific set of ideas for both the first Yacht 53 and the Oceanis Yacht 54. They asked a lot of designers to submit projects, and they finally decided on this team of Viscontini Argento because they were the closest to what Beneteau had in mind when they set out to build these boats.
On this boat, as well as on the 53 last year, the chines have disappeared.
Yes.
Beneteau originated the chines way back with the Sense, and now they're breaking new ground, getting rid of them?
Ultimately, for Beneteau, the way it actually sails is the most important. And the naval architect decided that a shineless hull was going to be the most efficient and also the most elegant.
I notice, unlike most boats where you're sitting in the cockpit and you got to climb out over the coamings to get up on the side deck, on the 54, you just kind of step around the wheel. It's wide open, and then there's two steps going up to the side. What's the purpose of the steps?
Basically, it adds a little bit of volume inside.
So,
and the fact that you have this walk-around area allows the helmsman to control the winches, but also allows crew on the other side of that coaming to work on the winches as well. The area at the back of the helm can double as a relaxation area. But what we've seen, especially when I was sailing the first Yacht 53, is that it's a place where the crew kind of tends to gravitate. So everybody kind of gets back there and sits back and look at the front of the boat. So it's a great area to be, whether you're sitting, standing, or sailing, or just relaxing.
I guess that's why you would call it a bit more of a center cockpit than your traditional boat where the wheels are pushed right up to the stern.
That's exactly right. They're not setting out to reinvent the wheel. What they're trying to do is they're trying to take a formula that works and adapt it to the needs of the modern sailor.
And the boat has an arch over the cockpit with the main sheet anchored up on top, which keeps the lines out of the cockpit. Is that standard or is that an option?
The arch is standard, yep.
The arch is standard.
Yep, and there's no traveler available.
Sort of if you're sitting at the helms, either it's twin helms,
yep,
in dual rudder as well?
That's correct, yep.
Twin rudders, which lets you
the way of the
carry
future.
that beam all the way aft.
All right, yep.
Talk a little bit about the sail plans that are available for the boat. I noticed a track for a self-tacking jib.
Yep. So you have two masts available. They're both aluminum. The standard mast is a roller furler system, 79 feet air draft. The boat comes standard with a roller furler main and a roller furler self-tacking jib, both built by Incidence, which is a French sail loft. The performance mast is a classic fully battened main. That is 85 feet air draft. It's a big difference. It's 6 feet taller, but it's 32% more sail area. So it's much bigger sail. Standard is self-tacking jib. If you want the furling Genoa, you have to get either the upwind pack or the upwind downwind pack. Whether or not you get the upwind or downwind pack, either or, you get German sheeting, so all the lines are led aft to the helm. And you also get 2 additional winches for 4 winches total. These are manual self-tailing winches, but you have the option, of course, of making them electric if you want. And since we're talking about the rigging, we have to talk about this wonderful technology that we're putting on the boat now, which is the Harken AST, Assisted Sail Trim. 3 main features on that is a heel limiter, but also it automatically tacks and it automatically trims. The thing to remember about the AST is if you get that, basically you can't get any other performance pack. So that's one pack as a whole, and then you get the upwind or downwind. You have 3 choices for the rigging.
The Harken system, I've not seen it in action yet, but it senses the apparent wind and then will trim the sails accordingly?
Correct. So it's a very complex system. There are load sensors pretty much everywhere, and it senses the wind and it basically does everything for you.
So what is it? One of the rewind winches that can...
So you get electric rewind winches as part of that pack. I think a lot of people, will enjoy the heel limiter as probably the most important feature, because if you're out there with your friends, you set the heel limiter so that there are no surprises. There's going to be a gust. The boat's not going to go over like that. It's just going to keep going just the way it was supposed to, and it'll make you look very, very confident. So.
And does the sprit come standard?
Yes, it does.
And it looks like it probably incorporates the anchor roller as well?
Yep. Standard roller, that's all standard. Yeah.
And then the boat also has a dock and go option. Could you talk a little bit about that?
So the dock and go is essentially a rotating sail drive. The 3 power options you have for the boat is standard. You have an 80 horsepower sail drive. You have the upgrade to a shaft drive, 110 horsepower turbo diesel. And then you have the dock and go option, which includes the bow thruster and also includes a joystick. So with this option, you have a pod that rotates, and the speeds of the rotation are mind-boggling. You're talking about 1/3 of a second to rotate. So it's like that. You get the joystick at the helm on the starboard side, and you can basically drive the boat, toggle with the joystick and drive the boat any which way you want, whether it's forward, backwards, or sideways. And again, this is something that makes you look very, very confident when you're coming to the dock.
Yeah, with so many of these boats, living in marinas, they're packed pretty tight. I could see where that would be a nice feature to add in there.
It would be. It's a very nice feature to have. Me personally, I think I would go for the 110 horsepower shaft drive, but maybe I'm just a traditionalist.
What's the dock and go add to the package, dollar-wise?
The base 80 horsepower sail drive is $586,000. The 110 horsepower upgrade is $591,000. And the dock and go is $625,000.
What's the sail assist? What does that package go for?
So the AST as a whole, so including everything, the sails and the electric winch and everything, is $42,650.
So that would be on top of the base price.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct.
Okay. So I'm sure the interior of this boat's pretty nice. You kind of walk us down the companionway and give us a tour down below.
So the first thing you notice when you're going down the companionway is how wide and gentle sloping and welcoming the companionway is. Very wide steps, and it's a really easy transition from the deck to down below. The second thing that's immediately obvious when you walk into the boat is the attention that's been put into lighting, both direct and indirect. And this goes back to what I was saying about Argento's background in super yachts. That's just immediately obvious as soon as you walk in. Starboard, you have a C-shaped galley, which is really great at the dock, tons of storage, but it's also a really good seagoing blue water galley because you have plenty of places to prop yourself up against to do the cooking. A little bit further to port, you have the nav station, which is also the owner's lounging area. It's this big, comfortable cushion where most people are going to want to just kind of crash and read a book and their computer and do emails. Opposite that, on the starboard side, you have an enormous C-shaped table, which can easily accommodate 6 to 8 guests. The boat's available in 2 configurations. You have a 3-cabin 2-head version, and then you have a 3-cabin 3-head version. If you select the 3-cabin 3-head version, you're nipping a little bit at the galley and at the port aft cabin. So those become just a little bit smaller. The boat's available in 2 wood colors. The standard is the Alpi mahogany, and you have the upgrade to the Alpi oak. Owner stateroom is forward. It's an enormous bed. It's actually the largest bed in its class. Tons of headroom, which is really important, especially for a guy like me. I'm 6'4", but I walk in there and I don't feel like I'm about to bump anywhere. And then you have separate shower and head, which is really nice when you're, actually staying for extended periods of times on the boat. It's just a layout that works and that reminds you of home.
And I noticed in the galley that you have a full-size style refrigerator like you'd find at home.
The idea now is to really make people feel like that this is their home away from home. We try to make the boat as easy to sail as possible, but also as easy to be on as possible, so that people want to spend as much time on the boat as they can.
Yeah, it looks very comfortable. Talk a little bit about the construction. Beneteau infuses all of their boats?
Correct. So it's a balsa cord hull and a balsa cord deck. Keels are cast iron. They're bolted on using a bonded stainless steel backing plate. You have a vacuum-infused structural liner that's also bonded to the hull. And above that, you have an aluminum substructure, which adds an enormous amount of rigidity to the hull, but also an enormous amount of rigidity to the floorboards and to the furniture. The result is a boat that's incredibly quiet. Take your shoes off, you walk about, there's no flex, there's no give, it's tight.
Anything special going on with the electrical system? I mean, is it the sort of the old-fashioned circuit breakers, or is it the new digital switching?
Some of it's digital. The big thing to say about the electronics is that you have ship control now, which is standard on this boat. The first time I saw ship control, I couldn't really believe what I was seeing. At the time, I was getting off the boat with Damien Jacob, who at the time was the sailboat product manager. We're getting off the boat. He's got his cell phone in his hand. And as we're getting off the boat, he's turning off the generator, turning off the spreader lights, turning off the interior lights, turning off the air conditioning with his cell phone. I said, wow, that is unbelievable. And so it's a really cool feature. You also have an interface for ship control at the helm. So everything can be done either from your phone, your iPad, or at the helm. You can do everything from turning off all the systems, turning on all the systems, but also monitoring tanks. And we wanted to put that as standard on the boat because we thought it was essential to this feeling of luxury that we're trying to create. For Beneteau, innovation has always been a very, very important focal point. And the fact that we put that there, I think, illustrates that.
So there's a couple of rig options, the standard in-mast furling and then the performance that's 6 feet taller. How about on the downward side, any options for keels? Because that's like a Chesapeake or, if you're heading offshore.
Yes. So you have two keels available for the boat. The standard draft is 8 feet 2 inches, and you have a shoal draft that is 6 feet 7 inches. Both of those keels are cast iron.
Talk a little bit about how you think, because you deal with the dealers all around the country. What are the typical American boat? What's it going to come with in terms of options? And I'm thinking like AC, genset, that kind of thing.
One of the biggest things about the yacht segment for both Oceanis and First is our ability to go a little bit beyond customization. We want our boats to be, I always say, endlessly semi-customizable. So we really want the shoe to fit. In that sense, we're ready to listen to just about any requests from buyers to accommodate, their needs. And in terms of options, you have two big trim packs. The first one is Comfort, which includes the Coastal Electronic B&G pack. The second one is the Luxe trim pack, which includes the Offshore B&G electronic pack. The truth of the matter is you're probably fine with the Comfort pack. The Luxe just adds just a bunch of really nice bells and whistles. But there is, a stern thruster available. There's a generator available. There's AC available. You can put a dedicated diesel heater on the boat if you're sailing in more northern latitudes. So the brokers always sit down and say, okay, so what are you going to do with this boat? Where are you going to take it? And where do you see yourself with it in a year or two? And then let's just build it to the way you want.
So a base boat was right around 580, 590?
Yep. So 590, it's a 591 for the 110 horsepower diesel. Fully equipped. I built my dream boat out a couple of days ago, and mine came to 8.25 minus the shipping and commissioning tax. So you're about 825. And I did not. I selected a lot of options because.
Well, you got to think big, Eric.
Of course, yeah. It's a dream, so I might as well live the dream, thoroughly and select all the options, including teak decks and things like that. So
that's what it's all about.
Right.
That's a pretty good preview. Now the boat's here in the United States, in Annapolis, I assume.
So I'll be sailing the boat early next week. I'm very excited. Can't wait. What I'd like to tell your viewers is, if you're interested, contact your local dealer. The boat's going to be in the water here in Annapolis for a little while, probably 3, 4, 5 weeks, depending on how the fall plays out. And we encourage you to give a call to your dealers. And the whole point is to take people sailing, so that's what we want to do. So give your local dealer a call, and we will take you out on the boat and show you what it can do. That goes for you too, Mark, by the way.
I can't wait to get down.
Not that far to drive.
I can't wait to get down and go out on this one. So I think that pretty good sneak preview of the boat. Anything else you think you should be telling us?
No, I just let's go sailing. That's the thing. And of course, there's all the information, general specs, all the options. Everything's online. If you need more, everything's on Beneteau.com. So be sure to visit that, and then contact your local dealer, and they'll send you a full options list, and you can or a brochure, and you can kind of go through that at your leisure.
Okay. Well, that sounds good. Thanks very much for this little preview, and for Cruising World. This is Mark Pillsbury.
Thank you, Mark. Great to see you.